Good morning, Year 9, good day, and welcome to week 7, session 4, and our new topic on rhetoric and persuasion. Okay, so we're going to crack straight on to our daily review. So, in silence and on your own, we've got 5 questions that I'd like you to answer in your books. Okay, and then we'll have a look at the answers together. So, what is rhetoric? Where did rhetoric originate from? What is a logos? What is ethos? And why are facts important when trying to influence and persuade? Okay, so we've got 5 questions to make a start with, just to get us back into that kind of context of rhetoric and persuasion. Okay, so pause. Pause and complete those, and then we'll look at the answers together. Okay, lovely people. So, what is rhetoric? Rhetoric is the art of persuasive speaking, of persuasive speech. Say that quickly, persuasive speaking. And it originated, I would love the city, but ancient Greece. And then full marks, I would say Athens. So Athens was the ancient Greek city where rhetoric originated from. So what is logos? So it is the appeal to logic and reason. So it's anything to do with the mind. Okay, so again, touch to your mind, touch your forehead. Logos comes from the mind. It's your thoughts, your reasons, a construction of a logical argument. Okay, I'll accept any of those. Now, ethos then, touch your cheeks, although we're not meant to at the moment. Sorry, think about your face. So logos is your mind, your forehead, your mind, your thoughts, your feelings. Ethos is about the presentation of a public persona, isn't it? It's the version of ourselves that we present that is credible and trustworthy, that lets people know we care what we're talking about, that we're knowledgeable about what we're talking about. So it's how we present ourselves, okay? So ethos is about the speaker, that I present myself in a particular way. Logos is about the fact that I appeal to my readers' reason, logic, and mind. Okay, so tick those correct if you've got them. And that's what makes facts important then. So facts come under the appeal of logos, really, that we're appealing to people's minds through the use of true information that is true and that can be proven. So guys, just pause there. If you've got them all right, brilliant. If you know you got one wrong, just quickly see and make sure that you record the right answer so that you know where so you've got the right ideas going forward. All right, lovelies, brilliant. Okay, so another little daily review task. Now, I'll explain it, and then you just pause the screen and do it. Okay, so imagine that you are giving a talk to your year group. So you're talking to the rest of year 9. In your opening speech, you need to address the year group, but you need to address them in a way which would give you a good ethos in their eyes, which would make you seem credible and trustworthy. Now, what I would also say is think about this more carefully. You are talking to your year group, but the context in which all of your year group would be together would be what? Maybe an assembly, maybe a special gathering. So it is also likely that there's going to be a slightly wider audience. So although you're primarily talking to your year group, okay, you might have some teachers in the room. Dr. Plum might have come to oversee it. So sometimes we have to be aware when we're making decisions that we've got our primary audience, the key people in front of us, but also maybe other members of an audience. So when you're thinking about the terms of address, which would create a terrible ethos, which would be not so good at making your year group respond to you, versus a brilliant ethos, the best choice you think you can make. Do be aware of what we call your primary audience, but also anybody else, secondary. So all I want you to do is just draw this line in your book, terrible ethos, brilliant ethos, and then I want you to place these other words. Which do you think is the worst you could use? Which do you think is the best? So welcome, mates. Welcome, fellow students. Welcome, friends. Welcome, fellow sufferers. Welcome, idiots. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you to press pause and do that first task. So you just draw the line, okay, and then under the line you write the words in the order that you think would rank them from brilliant to terrible. Okay, now, which is the worst way you could address them? Really? Idiots. Yep, as soon as you're calling them an idiot, you're polarizing your audience. Okay. And anything where you have to go only joking afterwards doesn't make it funny. So even when idiots, only joking. Okay, we don't do that. So terrible ethos. So idiots would be down there. Now, is there one here that you think, okay, might be good? Sorry, might not be as good as the others. So we've got rid of idiots. Right. Now, guys, I am going to probably be controversial. Mates. Now, in your head, you'd be probably thinking that mates is a nice, friendly way to talk to somebody. But actually, mates and friends are similar. They both actually mean the same thing. But mates is what we would call slang. It's informal, which could be good if you're just talking to your friends in an informal context. So you're sat down at lunch, you're calling to somebody across a classroom, "Oi, mate." But in the context of a speech, and remember what we said, you've got your whole year group there, and you potentially got adults in the room. Mates would be too informal. So we're going to go idiots, mates. Now, fellow students, friends, and fellow sufferers. Now, sufferers is also really down, I would put next. Now, you could even say that you could put idiots, fellow sufferers, then mates. Now, sufferers, fellow sufferers, means that you're saying that you appreciate that you're a student and that they're students too. But as soon as you say sufferers, you're creating a negative tone. And actually, we don't know what we're talking about. So actually, without knowing the topic, sufferers might be a bad call. Okay, it might set us up for a negative mood when you might be about to persuade them that you all want to go out on towers for a trip. So actually, sufferers is not the best call here, maybe. Okay, so idiots, mates, fellow sufferers. Now, out of the next two, fellow students and friends, which do you think creates the best ethos? Now, friends would probably go next. It's polite, it's formal, but you are talking to a whole year group. And really, if you want people to believe you, the truth is, it's very sat in the audience, someone that isn't a friend, someone you maybe haven't even spoken to. So, friends is a risk. Now, it's a risk because although everyone could believe that you're genuine and that you care about them if you call them friends, it could be misleading, or it could backfire a little bit. So I would go for fellow students creating a brilliant ethos. Okay, I know it sounds quite formal, but we've got to get used to that. With speeches, we do tend to be quite formal. Okay, we formalize our presentations in a speech. So although fellow students, brilliant. Friends, really good. Fellow sufferers, in the right context, could be clever. It could create the right mood tone, but we don't know what that is yet. We definitely don't want to be calling them idiots, and mates might be seen as too informal. All right, guys, so just make sure you've got your order. Now, if you disagree with me, be ready to give me a reason why in the future when we meet again, yeah? So you might have put things in a different order. If your reasoning is sound, you have a logical reason why, you can appeal to my logos and convince me why, then that is fine. But, okay, that should be the rough order that they go in. Okay, so you just have to now put your money where your mouth is. Okay, so for your best one, if you've come up with a different idea than me, you just got to copy and complete this statement. Okay, which term did you think would give you the best ethos in the eyes of your audience? And you give an answer. So if your answer was the same as mine or different, you just know how to give me your reason. This is going to be your logos point. Okay, this is where you appeal to my reason why you chose that. Okay, my lovely. So copy and complete that sentence. Brilliant. Now that's our daily review for today. Now we are going on to the third point of our triangle, our third appeal, pathos. So what is pathos and how do speakers create pathos? So you can pause here, use this as your title for today. What is pathos and how do we create it? Now, guys, we know we've got ethos. That's where we started, creating credibility and trust, a public persona that people like and trust and believe is knowledgeable. Then we looked yesterday at logos, okay? Logic, reason, truth. So appealing to people's minds, people's reason. But we are more than our minds. Now, there are different arguments, different philosophies on this. We are not looking for being philosophical today, but we are going to be looking at people's pathos. And the reality is that people often make decisions based on emotion based on a belief system. Now, a people's belief system can be individual, it can be cultural. So there are certain cultural values and beliefs, and there are individual values and beliefs. And there are people that are led very much with their emotions. There are people that are led very much with their logic and reason. So this is why public speaking is such a skill, because there is such diversity in your audience. There are so many different ways in which people respond and can be influenced to respond. No two people are the same. So often we look for the balance in these three areas. That's why it's a triangle, an equilateral triangle. That's why each side is equal, to kind of represent that really each of these elements should be balanced. However, in your audience, in your listeners, there are going to be people that are more engaged through the emotions, okay, and their values. And there are people that are more engaged at a logical, reasonable level. Now, that doesn't make one set of people better than the others. It just means you need to be aware of that when we're appealing to our audience. So we're just going to unpack pathos today a little bit more. So pathos is all about making your audience feel something, okay? It's about engaging their heart. It's about engaging their emotions. So images that you see on charity appeals are all about pathos. So when you get a charity leaflet through your door, okay, it's heart-wrenching, it's an expensively printed product, okay, it's asking for donations to charity, it will have pictures in it designed to appeal to your emotions. Now, emotions, again, there are many. There are what we call your positive emotions, your negative emotions, but I would just like to say here at this point, emotions are a part of how we're made up. Okay, we don't accidentally gain emotions after we're born. Okay, emotions, the whole range of emotions, are a part of our humanity. So it's learning how to recognize those emotions, maybe if you're the speaker, how to influence those emotions. If you're the listener, it's recognizing what your emotions make you do and whether you want to do that, whether you want to be responding emotionally to something. So I'm a really emotional person, but I've learned to engage my will and my reason and integrate my emotions into my choices. So I'm not just making decisions. So I am that person. If you show me an image of a dog that looks sad or a child in need, it does immediately resonate with my emotions and I can very quickly be moved to cry. However, I have had to learn over time to then check that emotional response alongside my will, my reasoning, and then decide whether I'm going to act. Some people feel it, they do it. I would argue we need to feel something, engage emotion and wills, integrate it into our thinking, and then decide how we're going to act. Okay, so in adverts, then, particularly charity adverts, rather than using logos, detailed arguments, and an appeal to logic and reason, it shoots straight for the heart. So they can sometimes use some really emotive, really strong, stirring images. Okay? So pathos is the way you make an audience feel. If you can stir their emotions, they will listen because human beings are full of emotion. And because of that, we're easily influenced by its effects. Okay? In a perfect world, only arguments using logos would persuade us to do anything because facts are, well, facts. But unfortunately, we're too swayed by emotion. Now, I just need to pause here because this page on pathos is taken from a guy called Sam Leith, who is an expert on rhetoric. I am going to just say I disagree with Sam Leith on this point that in a perfect world, only arguments using logos would persuade us to do anything because facts are facts. I would argue that because we're emotional, we can use emotions to make decisions. But like I was saying, we integrate, we bring emotions and reason together, and we make our decision based on both. Because there are facts um, that actually need to be discerned through an emotional lens. Because some people know the facts, but because they're not emotionally connected to it, they don't care. They won't do anything. We all know the facts, okay, of what's happening in countries like Syria, and yet we don't do anything about it. Why not? Because we disengage. We take the facts, we compartmentalize them, and we disengage emotionally. And therefore, we feel we don't have to do anything. So I would argue or disagree with his opinion fully. I don't think a perfect world is the only one in which facts work. I think we need to recognize we are emotional people. So anyway, at this point, you can pause and just have a look back. All I want you to do is to write down that initial definition that pathos is all about making you feel something. Okay? And just have a look through, and if there are any keynotes that you want, just make a note of them now. Okay? So just create your own little definition, your own little note bank on pathos, but don't copy these slides word for word. So I'm just going to let you do that, and then I'm going to explain our next task.